What is going on, everyone? This is Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is February 11th, 2021. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. Today we're going to provide another update on the Pristine Capital trading service. We'll talk about the price action and the indices and some of this back and forth. We'll go under the hood, check out our sectors and style factors. We'll look at some of my trades for the day, and then we'll wrap up some options order flow. But before we jump in, quick risk disclaimer. Nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, so let's jump right into it. So our quick housekeeping item here, I talked about this in my video yesterday, but we are moving up the launch date for the Pristine Capital Trading Service to February 15th. At some point this weekend coming up, everyone that has reached out to me via email, I'm going to send you a note with the instructions for how to sign up, and like the website information, all that good stuff. If you have not yet reached out to me, here's my contact information. So you can see I have my email right up here on the screen. And I also have my phone number. So yeah, I'm super stoked about how many people have replied so far. We're going to have a nice group for the beginning of the service. Yeah, so looking forward to it. Yeah, that is our quick housekeeping item. So stay tuned for more on that. And then let's jump into the price action for today. So one thing I definitely want to highlight for today is we are getting very close to options expiration week. So we have options expiration occurring this upcoming Friday, the 19th. And a lot of times in the few days or the week leading up to options expiration, you get a lot of back and forth, kind of like choppy price action. And it looks like we're already starting to see that because we pretty much had a stellar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about like 6 really nice trading days consecutively. Now we've been consolidating sideways for a couple days, which is not bad at all, especially after a really, big run like that when the headline indices are a bit overextended. It's good to take a breather and get some sideways action for a few days. So you can see here we put in a bit of a doji candle, but we closed above the 5-day EMA, above all the other short-term moving averages, and we're still above this monthly value area. So everything at this point is pretty much bullish until proven bearish. What I will go through and what happened, midway through the trading day is we did have a bit of a market dip. And I'll show you that. I'm going to pull up our S&P 500 hourly chart so you can see. And this one looks very similar to what we experienced yesterday, where you can see yesterday we had a big red candle on high volume, and we dipped into this weekly value area. And the weekly value area, just remember, is where 70% of the transactions in the prior week occurred. And you can see we dipped in yesterday, then came off the lows, and then this morning again, we pretty much took another spill into this weekly value area. And you can see here we tagged the top of value and then pretty much bounced right off of it. And you can see we ended up pretty much recovering almost fully from the lows. So we had the S&P 500 close up 0.16%. We had the NASDAQ QQQ close up 0.55%. We had the IWM small caps close down 0.11%. And we had the Dow Jones close up 0.06%. So if we take a look at the Qs, you're going to see that the NASDAQ was showing relative strength throughout the day here. Yeah, you can see even though it had a dip, it remained pretty much in positive territory throughout the day. And you can see that for this dip, it didn't even dip into that weekly value area. IWM was a bit more volatile today. At one point during the day, it was down almost a full %. It's definitely a lot of whipsaw action. The IWM actually dipped a bit lower than it did yesterday. So yeah, we're starting to get that choppiness in the market, more of a back and forth market rather than, were just dipping due to the GameStop event and then just ripping immediately after. Definitely, in my trading, that's something I'm going to try to adjust for heading into options expiration week. And, just something to think about for your own trading as well. And then let's see, we have our Dow Jones. Yeah, Dow Jones, very similar story, closed up 0.06%. This one did not quite make it into the weekly value area. So let's take a look at these sectors and style factors. And you will see that today was pretty much the first day that the cannabis trade, started to come off in a major way. So if we look at this cannabis ETF, you'll see I'll pull up the YOLO ETF. And I'll go to the daily chart. Yeah, so you can see, we've had a stellar run in these US and Canadian cannabis companies. And, it's tough to have a run that just goes parabolic that isn't met with a sharp correction at some point. So you can see here, we corrected about 12.14% in a single day. And that correction did occur on high volume. So I would love to see these, come back into like the 20-day simple moving average or just come back into a support level. I am definitely a huge fan of this sector into 2021, but it's definitely gotten, just way overextended. And you can see some of these popular names in the sector, like one that I trade quite frequently is company GRWG. This one actually did just have a really nice pullback into support. So you can see here, it got all the way up to like $67. And by today, pretty sizable correction. Traded all the way down to about 52. So this is actually a name that will be on my watch list moving forward, this GRWG. So let's see what else we had. Yeah, so we had our ARK funds bouncing back today. You can see we had the ARK FinTech fund up 2.6%. One of the big news items from the other day was that MasterCard is now going to be accepting cryptocurrency, I believe. So it seems like we have this trend going where a lot of different companies are announcing, hey, we're accepting cryptocurrency or just becoming more friendly to it. And then you can see some of the laggards today were the gold miners. You can see down 1.33%. We had biotech down 1.3%. And we had energy taking a bit of a break, down 1.54%. Yeah, you can see sort of a mixed bag in terms of our sectors. If we look at our style factors, you can see high div, low vol was our worst performing style factor, which to me is pretty risk on because that's typically where one would go, if they're concerned about market volatility. You can see the best performing style factor was international momentum. And that's driven by a lot of these Chinese equities that are still making, just really fantastic moves. And then we had the momentum style factor up 0.93%. All right, so let's jump into some of my trades for today. And I'm going to pull up the Discord over here. And so let's take a look. Yeah, and for the purposes of time, today I didn't trade quite as much, but we'll just go through some of these pretty quickly. So in the beginning of the day, in yesterday's video, I talked about how I was playing Tesla for a bounce, but that it actually wasn't looking so hot technically. So if I pull up Tesla, you can see Tesla got a small bounce. It was up 0.85%. But you can see it pretty much just put in a doji candle. What I did was I was like, okay, I'm trading this one off of that value area low. As soon as we got a nice little rip in the morning, so you can see we ripped all the way up to about like 827, I started taking profits in my call spread. So you can see here. So at 947, I closed out half of my call spread. For $3.02, I'd paid $2.35 for it. And the reason being is, it expires tomorrow. It's a very short-term options contract, and Tesla is, facing some selling pressure. So I was like, okay, let me take this off for about what is it, like a 30-40% gain, something along those lines. So I took a target, closed out half my position. I ended up taking another target in that position at 10.27. So I could just see sellers starting to come in. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take another target. I took that one at $2.52. So I made a small profit on that one. And I put that I'm down to a quarter of my position. That remaining quarter, I'm just treating that as a bit of like a lotto ticket where, even if that one goes to zero, I'll still make out, either flat or positive on the trade. So I figured, hey, I'll take, what I call like a runner position. And then tomorrow if Tesla goes bullish, that'll be awesome. Maybe I can close it out for a winner. We'll see. Then what else do we have for today? Yeah, so I did that. I took some new common stocks today. So I got long Curie and I got long Stitch Fix. I was looking at the website for Stitch Fix. It actually looks really cool. But Curie, you can see here, this is day one of the breakout. And I did chase Curie a little bit. I believe I got in at like $20. But this name, it's breaking out of this monthly value area. We actually saw a report of some insider buying yesterday. Apparently the CEO just purchased about $1 million worth of the common shares. And to me, that shows, okay, the CEO's bullish on his company. So that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to take Curiosity Stream for a swing. Curiosity Stream, they do like educational content, like similar to like a Netflix. Like you can add on Curiosity Stream if you have like one of those like streaming services like Netflix or Fubo. I believe it costs like $3 a month. But it's really like edutainment. So yeah, pretty cool concept. Took that one long for a swing. We'll see what happens with it. And I pretty much just put on like a starter position. That way I can add to it hopefully down the road. And then Stitch Fix. I'm really liking this setup in Stitch Fix. So what I'm noticing is like Stitch Fix had a really nice run. Ran up to about like $113. And it had a pullback to the 20-day simple moving average. And it's pretty much been riding the 20-day higher. So I'm actually going to set an alert. I will likely take my first target at around like 102 if it gets there. So I'll probably set an alert right there. I'll just label that target. There we go. Perfect. So I took those two long for some swings. And then where I closed out my position. Oh yeah, I took some Alibaba calls and some skills calls. Alibaba is a new position for me. And what I notice is, I still have my KWeb call butterfly. And I've taken about 2 targets in it. The KWeb ETF is the Chinese internet names. So you can see KWeb has really been making a very nice move. At this point for my butterfly to work, KWeb actually needs to have a bit of a pullback. Not really a big one, but it would help if it could pull back, just like maybe 2 or 3% into next week. That might not even happen. So what I wanted to do was, hey, this gives me a little bit of cover where I can add a bullish trade on one of these Chinese internet names. And I like the way that Alibaba is setting up here. So you can see we had a really big down leg here. And this was when Jack Ma, the chairman of Alibaba, pretty much spoke out against the CCP. And the company was under a lot of pressure. At one point, people even thought Jack Ma was dead. And now we're sort of coming off of that really bad sentiment. And I like the way this one is setting up. So I bought some April calls in this name. And we'll see if this one can push out of this base here. But the good thing is, say if Alibaba is really weak in terms of the price action next week, I have that KWeb spread that if all these Chinese internet names get really weak, I'll make money on that one. So that one was kind of I like the setup in Alibaba, and then I have the KWeb butterfly as protection as well. And then what else did we have here? So I did that. Oh yeah, I took some SPY puts intraday. Really just as protection in case the market were to take a bit of a spill. and I set a very tight stop order on those puts. That way I figured like, hey, if the market wants to resolve back higher, I'll just take a small stop on these puts. Ended up getting stopped out for about $12.46. So I was really just like, okay, if this thing wants to spill, protect my portfolio. But as soon as it didn't spill, I was like, okay, I want this order to be able to take me out for more of like a paper cut loss. And then I closed out of my Capri calls. I put those on yesterday. That was for a complete scratch. Paid $5.85, closed them out for $5.85. And really the reason being is I'm seeing some other names that are really interesting me. And I really just wanted to free up that cash balance. I was like, you know what? Either this will just go in cash because the market was a little bit mixed today, or I can always redeploy that in something else. I also traded some, this is the last one for me, traded some skills. May 40 strike calls, and skills I'm already very long, but it's having a pretty nice pullback here. So you can see skills. It had this really nice run on the news of the partnership with the NFL. It's a multi-year deal, and it's had maybe like 1, 2, 3, about like 4 days of a pullback. And so I figured, you know what, I'm pretty bullish on this company for the long term. I'm going to take advantage of this pullback and, buy some calls out for May. So that about does it for my trades for today. Let's take a look at some options order flow. All right, let's take a look here. So we are filtered for the orders that are $1 million and up, because really I'm most concerned with what the large institutions and the large players are doing. So you can see here we have some Pinterest calls going up. Let's see Pinterest. I know Pinterest had a pretty negligible reaction to their earnings. Oh yeah, and Pinterest, really nice move, up 7.29% today. There was some news that Microsoft, had approached them about an acquisition. I believe it was like a couple months ago or a month ago. We do have a fair amount of puts coming down. You can see some SPY puts, some puts for First Solar coming down around like the 2 o'clock-ish area. We're getting some flow coming in for Teladoc. And Teladoc, if we look, Teladoc has had a really nice move. You can see Teladoc, a really nice move. It would be awesome if we could get this pullback to the 20-day right here. Yeah, you can see closed down 2.32%, but closed off of the lows. And they're reporting earnings pretty soon, I believe. Yeah, they report earnings. Okay, it doesn't say here. Let's see if it gives me the earnings date on my trading system here. Okay, looks like it's still to be determined. And then what else do we have? Okay, we have some BABA call buyers. Saw one come in at like 1037. And then they're still going for these Canadian cannabis companies. It's like I'm seeing a fair amount of orders for Aphria and also Tilray. These are the ones that pretty much had the large corrections today. And for me, I'm not really as interested in these Canadian companies. I like the U.S. licensed producers much better. Yeah, you can see these, really swift correction. Down 35% in a day. So this is very similar to what happened in GameStop, where everyone's loving life while this thing is ripping. But then there's those poor souls that buy in. Somebody bought here at $30.99. And they're already down almost 50% on their position. So this is pretty extreme what's going on here. And then Tilray, let's see that one. Yeah, Tilray, similar deal. Lost about 50% in a day. That's crazy. Yeah, that's why for me, if I miss some of these parabolic runs, it's very tough to try to jump in on like this candle or this candle. Like, it's just really tough. If you're not early, for the most part, I just stay away from those. That about does it for this market recap video. Hope you all had a great trading day today, and I will see you all tomorrow.